Bruce Lee's successor. The theory goes that director Lo Wei spent 2 years trying to build Jackie Chan into Bruce Lee II, and almost destroyed his career doing it. After Bruce Lee's death in 1973, every Hong Kong studio raced to find a replacement. Chan starred in New Fist of Fury in 1976, marketed as the direct sequel to Lee's Fist of Fury, and Lo Wei personally told him he wanted to mold him into Bruce Lee II. Chan documents this in his autobiography, Never Grow Up, and recalls confiding in a producer that he was not suited for the role. His concerns were ignored. The Bruce Lee clone formula failed across multiple Lo Wei films. Before New Fist of Fury revived him, Chan had been forced into early retirement and was working construction. The real breakthrough came only when he broke the mold with Snake in the Eagle's Shadow and Drunken Master, both released in 1978. Both films leaned into comedy and physical clowning, the opposite of Lee's stoic intensity. The story most fans know is that he invented action comedy. The theory says he invented it because nothing else was available to him. The skull plate theory. Jackie Chan has a permanent hole in his skull filled with a plastic plug, and the popular fan theory says it's the reason he stopped doing the stunts that made him famous. During filming of Armour of God in 1986 in Yugoslavia, Chan was supposed to jump from a wall to a tree branch. The first take went fine. Chan insisted on a second take. On the second attempt, the branch broke, and he fell roughly 5 meters headfirst onto a rock. The fall cracked his skull and forced a piece of bone up into his brain. He was flown to a hospital and was in surgery within 8 hours. The result is a permanent hole in his skull, filled with a plastic plug, and slight permanent hearing loss in his right ear. He returned to set after only 7 days of recovery and finished filming. The fan theory argues that after Armour of God, Chan's biggest stunts increasingly used safety rigs and protective gear, even when fans assumed he had no safety net. Project A from 1983 predated the injury, and that clock tower fall was performed 3 times with minimal padding. After 1986, his most famous high-fall stunts, including the Police Story 3 helicopter ladder, increasingly relied on rope rigs that earlier-era Chan would have refused. By Who Am I, in 1998, the 21-story Rotterdam slide was performed without wires, but Chan called it the most terrifying stunt of his career. Chan and his team have been blacklisted by every major insurer since the early Police Story era. He pays his own medical bills. The persona is the man who does anything. The literal hole in his head reframes every stunt that came after as a calculated bet against death. The Triad star theory. The theory says Hong Kong's biggest action star spent his entire early career under Triad pressure, and the receipts include a personal blackmail attempt. Hong Kong cinema in the 1980s and 1990s had documented Triad involvement at every level. Golden Harvest, the studio that made Chan a star, was founded by Raymond Chow. Chow is widely reported by entertainment journalists to have been a middleman for the Sun Yi-on Triad. When Chan broke his contract with Lo Wei to join Golden Harvest during the Fearless Hyena 2 production, Lo brought in Triads to blackmail him. According to multiple biographical accounts, the dispute was resolved with the help of fellow actor and director Jimmy Wong Yu, an established figure with his own underworld connections. By 1990, the Triads were openly trying to force top stars like Chan into pictures they financed. Chan was reportedly ordered to take a leading role in a film financed by the Hua Qing, an American-Chinese organized crime syndicate. The pattern is documented in Gangsters Incorporate reporting and academic histories of Hong Kong film. The theory isn't that Chan was a criminal, it's that he was a survivor of an industry shaped by them. The clean image of Hong Kong's family-friendly action star sits on top of a business where, by reporting, almost no one operated without these pressures. The Forever Stuntman. Here's the wild Enter the Dragon theory, and Jackie Chan himself is the source. In 1973, Chan worked as a stuntman on Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon for Golden Harvest. He appears uncredited as a guard in the final cave fight, where Lee grabs his hair and breaks his neck on screen. During filming, Lee accidentally struck Chan in the face with one of his sticks. Lee was so distressed he hugged Chan and apologized profusely. Chan has admitted in The Hollywood Reporter that he pretended to be in pain longer than necessary so Lee would keep holding him. According to Chan, Lee promised he could work on all of Lee's future films. Lee died before keeping the promise. The theory says this single accidental hit shaped the rest of Chan's career, both as the death of a path that might have been and the start of the one that was. By the way, if you're enjoying this so far, I make videos like this all the time. A subscribe would really help out. Thanks. The Inspector Ka-Kui, Multiverse. Police Story has 7 films, 3 different lead characters, and a fan theory that ties them all together as one timeline that the films themselves refuse to confirm. The original Police Story in 1985 introduced Inspector Chan Ka-Kui, also called Kevin Chan in some English dubs. The character returned in Police Story 2 in 1988 and Police Story 3 Super Cop in 1992. First Strike in 1996 is officially Police Story 4, and Chan plays Ka-Kui for the final time. New Police Story in 2004 resets the universe with a new character named Wing. Police Story 2013 and Police Story Lockdown are standalone entries with a different lead named Zhang Wen. Fan theory pushes for a single connected timeline. According to this reading, Ka-Kui's career arc, his breakdown, and his reinvention as Wing form one tragic character arc across 30 years of films. The theory points to recurring beats: workplace betrayal, family loss, a fall from grace, re-emergence. Producers and Chan have never confirmed the linkage, and the franchise sells each reboot as a fresh start. The official answer is that the films are episodic. The fan answer is that the through line is too consistent to be coincidence. Buster Keaton Channel Theory. Project A's clock tower fall in 1983 is one of the most famous stunts in Hong Kong cinema, and the wild theory is that Jackie Chan reinvented Buster Keaton without ever having seen a Buster Keaton movie. In the film, Chan hangs from the hand of a clock tower, then falls roughly 18 meters through fabric awnings to the ground. The stunt is a direct visual echo of Harold Lloyd's 1923 Safety Last clock hang. Chan went one further. He performed it 3 times, the last with handcuffs. He took a week to build the courage to drop, and he injured his neck during the take. According to Chan in his autobiography, I Am Jackie Chan, he had not seen Lloyd's or Keaton's films at the time the comparison was drawn. Western critics drew the comparison first. Chan watched the silent comedian's films later and acknowledged the similarity. The theory argues Chan independently arrived at the silent film school of physical comedy from a separate cultural tradition, Peking opera training and Hong Kong stunt work, and converged on the same answer. The fan reading goes further. Physical comedy itself, Body in Danger as Joke, is a universal that 2 cultures discovered on parallel tracks. The receipt is in his own book. The meaning is fans to interpret. The Industrial Alcohol Cut. Drunken Master 2 has one of the greatest fight scenes in cinema, and the original ending was so dark Hong Kong cut it. The film, released in 1994, ends with Wong Fei-hung drinking industrial alcohol to fuel his final fight. The 7-minute finale took nearly 4 months to shoot. The original Hong Kong cut included roughly 35 additional seconds showing Wong, post-fight, blinded and mentally impaired from the alcohol. That coda was removed from later prints. The theory argues the deleted ending reframes the entire fight as a Pyrrhic victory. The celebratory tone of the version most fans know is a studio choice, not the filmmaker's intent. The theory pivots on a real edit, not a hypothetical one. The Stuntman Brotherhood Pact. Jackie Chan founded his stunt team in 1976, and a long-running fan theory says the team's loyalty pact is the actual reason no one outside it has ever replicated what Chan does on screen. The JC Stunt Team, also called Jackie Chan's Stuntmen Association, was established that year. Chan trained at the China Drama Academy alongside Sammo Hung and Yuan Biao, known together as the Seven Little Fortunes. Hung and Yuan Biao went on to form their own stunt teams, and the 3 overlapped on films like Dragons Forever and Thunderbolt. Members of the JC Stunt Team have been seriously injured on multiple Chan productions. Chan and his team are reportedly blacklisted by every major film insurer, and Chan personally pays the medical bills of injured team members. The theory says the team's willingness to take risks no insured production would allow is the actual product Chan was selling, not just his own body. Fans argue this is why the action style was never successfully exported. Hollywood productions could not legally replicate the working conditions. The Tuxedo, in 2002, is the example most cited. Chan's stunts there are dependent on doubles and special effects, and the result is widely considered his worst film. The Pact is the secret sauce. The Cannonball Run Pivot. Here's the theory. Cannonball Run 2 in 1984 was Jackie Chan's first real Hollywood test, and Hollywood failed it. Chan appeared in Cannonball Run in 1981 and Cannonball Run 2 in 1984 as a Mitsubishi engineer. The role was small. The stunts were minimal. His physical comedy was largely sidelined. Chan returned to Hong Kong for the rest of the 1980s to build the films that became his actual signature: Police Story, Project A, Armour of God. He did not attempt a Hollywood crossover again until Rumble in the Bronx in 1995. The fan theory says Cannonball Run 2 told Chan that American producers in the early 1980s had no idea what to do with him, and he needed to make his name on his own terms first. The Karate Kid Bloodline. Jackie Chan's Mr. Han in the 2010 Karate Kid was supposed to be a standalone character, but a fan theory linking him to Mr. Miyagi just got closer to canon than anyone expected. The 2010 Karate Kid reboot featured Chan as Mr. Han, a Beijing maintenance worker and secret kung fu master. The Karate Kid Part 2 established the Miyagi family ancestry through Shimpo Miyagi, who drifted to China during a 1625 fishing trip, lived there for 10 years, and returned to Okinawa with a Chinese wife and 2 children. A long-running fan theory argues Mr. Han descends from the Chinese side of that family, making Han and Miyagi distant blood relatives. In 2025, Karate Kid Legends director Jonathan Entwistle stated that the Han family and the Miyagi family are connected all the way back to the old times. The statement is suggestive, but stops short of a specific lineage claim. Fans argue Entwistle's quote is a soft confirmation. The studios argue it's evocative marketing. The theory predates Legends by more than a decade, and is now treated by some fans as semi-canon. What started on message boards in 2010 now has a director's quote behind it. The line between fan theory and franchise canon has rarely been thinner. The Michelle Yeoh competition. Police Story 3 in 1992 introduced Michelle Yeoh to Jackie Chan's franchise, and the fan theory says she nearly killed him by being better than him. Yeoh's signature super cop stunt involved her jumping a motorcycle onto a moving train. She had learned to ride a motorcycle only 2 weeks earlier, and by her own admission she still has not learned how to stop one. Western press initially assumed the stunt was CGI. Yeoh confirmed it was performed with a real train and a real motorcycle. She has said in interviews that she and Chan got into a stunt competition during production. Chan reportedly told her at one point that he would die trying to top her if they kept escalating. The fan theory argues Chan's helicopter ladder stunt later in the same film, which fractured his rib and dislocated his cheekbone, was a direct response to Yeoh's train jump. The Hong Kong Handover. The night the United Kingdom handed Hong Kong back to China on July 1, 1997, Jackie Chan was on a rush hour soundstage in Hollywood, and a long-standing fan and critic theory says that single chronological accident reshaped the rest of his public life. Chan was working on Rush Hour, his American breakthrough, during the handover itself. After the handover, he spoke publicly about his disappointment with fellow Hong Kongers, asking why anyone should be afraid of China taking back the city. Over the next 2 decades, he increasingly positioned himself as a bridge to mainland China for international audiences. He performed in Defending the Yellow River, the 7th movement of the Yellow River Cantata, a second Sino-Japanese War-era patriotic composition. According to Variety reporting, he participated in Communist Party centennial celebrations in 2021, including a much-discussed performance during a year when Hong Kong pro-democracy activists were being arrested. He has called for tighter controls on Hong Kong cinema, drawing public criticism from Hong Kong directors. By reporting from Variety and Hazlitt, his Hong Kong fan base has steadily eroded since the early 2010s. His mainland Chinese box office, including Chinese Zodiac and the Skip Trace and Foreigner-era films, has steadily grown. The fan theory is that the handover did not change Chan's politics. It changed which audience could ignore them. From 1997 on, his career strategy was effectively bi-coastal between Hollywood and Beijing. The theory does not require Chan to have been pressured. It argues the financial calculus simply tilted that way once the city he came from was no longer politically distinct. Chinese Zodiac retirement. In 2012, Jackie Chan announced that Chinese Zodiac, also known as CZ-12, would be his last stunt film, and the fan theory says he never meant it. The film premiered in 2012, directed and co-written by Chan. It's the third entry in the Armour of God franchise, after the original and Operation Condor. Chan earned 2 Guinness World Records for it. The first was most stunts performed by a living actor. The second was most credits in one movie, for serving in 15 separate production roles. He publicly stated at premiere events that this would be his last action film as a performer. He then went on to star in Police Story Lockdown, Skip Trace, The Foreigner, Bleeding Steel, Vanguard, and Ride On, every one of them featuring physical action. He later clarified that he meant fewer life-risking stunts, not full retirement. The fan theory has 2 layers. The first says the retirement claim was marketing. The second, more sympathetic version, says Chan genuinely meant it but could not stop, and that the Guinness record attempt was an unconscious closing argument for his own legacy before the stunts caught up with him. The age and injury context is documented. Chan is in his early 70s. The skull plug from Armour of God is still in place. The cumulative damage from decades of broken bones is widely acknowledged in interviews. The theory does not accuse Chan of lying. It argues he made a promise his identity could not let him keep. If you found this worth your time, consider subscribing to keep up with all future uploads. Thanks for watching.